Hi everyone, Vizzey here, and I know it's been a while since I posted a video, and it's been a while since I did one of those tutorials because you know what? I did not have time. I had a lot of things to do with university, work, and cosplay. I did not have time to do anything, and I also had to move back and forth, and it was a bit stressful. But now I'm back, and today we're gonna do a tutorial on the Trickster Twisted Masquerade mask that came out with a 6-year anniversary event of Dead by Daylight. And as you know, the event started 2 weeks ago and ended just last Thursday. And some killers and some survivors got a mask, and also the Trickster. And since I'm a Trickster cosplayer, I decided why not add something new into my collection. And since I love the design, I just recreated this mask, and I thought it would be cool to show you how I worked on it. Don't forget, I stream on Twitch on Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central European Summertime, and of course I play Dead by Daylight, but I'm a survivor main. Don't expect me to play killer. But if you just want to stop by and say hi, don't hesitate. And also, if you want to see my progress on art stuff and cosplay and everything that goes around in my life, don't forget to follow all my socials down below. And yes, let's get it started. First and foremost, we're gonna start with the materials that I use for the mask. And I'm gonna list all the things down below and also give you some links to it, but keep in mind I'm from Europe and I bought all these things here in Europe, and the links might be invalid for you, but you can still just just copy the name and maybe you can find it wherever you live and just buy it. So yeah, the first thing that we need is soft foam clay. I don't have it right now at hand here because I used everything, and I use it mostly also for my beds and for all the props that I need for my Trickster cosplay. But for the foam clay, you basically need it for shaping your face. You can also use some different materials where you can shape your face, but that was the only thing that I had at hand, and I was like, you know what, it's gonna help me. Once it's dry, it's gonna be soft but not too sturdy, and you can still have it on your face, and that's what I used for the first part. What you need is Worbla, and for my mask I use this Worbla. As you know, Worbla is being used for cosplay armor, and I got the original one, which I don't recommend because once you heat it up, it kind of gets like, the surface is not really smooth. So I recommend you to get the darker one, and I didn't find anything when I was looking for it, but now I arrived and I'm gonna use it for a different prop, but this one is better. It's mostly used for cosplay armor, as I mentioned before. And with Worbla, you can basically heat it up and shape and form it as much as you want. And you can also take some small pieces of Worbla and put it and heat it up and put it on some, already heated up Worbla, and it's gonna stick. And that is basically the magic of Worbla. I love it, and it was basically the first time that I used it for a cosplay prop. What you need for heating up the Worbla, you of course need a heating gun. And this heating gun is really strong. It's not like a hair dryer. So you can basically form and shape everything with this one. And keep in mind, you have to be careful because it burns everything that is around you. So you need a nice surface to work. Of course, what you need to create the shapes and forms of the mask is some utensils, and once the Worbla is heated up, you can just shape everything with this. And this one came with a soft foam clay, which was pretty cool. Next, what you need is Plasti Dip. As you know, Plasti Dip is also being used for cosplay props and weapons, and basically it is a rubber coating that you use before you start painting it. For the last part that you need are acrylics, and there I used blue, silver, gold, and dark silver acrylics because the mask only has 3 colors, which is blue, gold, and black. I really don't have anything for the mask, but what I use the most, I don't recommend it to you because I'm gonna change it. I basically just used one of those rubber bands. I don't recommend it to you because it really squeezes your head. But this is the thing that I had now since it was weekend and I couldn't buy anything and I needed to take the pictures. So you can either use this or you can use other materials for the mask. I know it's not helpful, but I just freestyled on that one. It's the same way I freestyled with the mask. Okay, so now the fun parts begins, and we're gonna start now. Shaping the mask. And of course the mask has to fit on your face, right? Unless you just want to have it as a decoration, you don't really need a shape, you just have to create it. But since I use it as a cosplay prop, I put the soft foam clay on my face. The foam clay basically, when it's still wet, it can still bend and take other shapes and forms. I really had to fight with it. I recommend you to use something different, but there I just use it that way. I just put everything on my face. I did some holes on my eyes and my nose, and then I squeezed everything around just to get the shape of my face. After that, I just waited until it was a bit dry, and I used my hair dryer to dry it a bit faster, so I could basically just continue working at the same time, and I didn't have to wait like for a couple hours, because I think after 12 hours it dries. So I just accelerated the process because I wanted to create the mask in like 2-3 days. So after we created the shape of our face, right, you can just try it out and see, okay, if it's good or not. I basically just took the Worbla and I cut a big square and heated it up with a heating gun, and then I placed it on the mask. I continued with the eye part, and there I just heated up the Worbla, and I know that the foam clay was still soft, so I just put 2 holes in there, and then I put the mask back on my face, and I just like, you know, touch the eye party of the mask, and I just like, you know, squeeze it a bit in, but be careful to not poke your eye because it's really tricky, all this process. And like I said, I'm not a professional, I'm just freestyling everything. And I just cut out the eye part because it's really important that you can see through the mask. Once you created the mask and you have the base of the mask, you take one of those markers and you just mark the outlines of the mask on the Worbla. The sketches on your mask basically helps you to orientate yourself where you want to put the remainings of the Worbla, and also where you want to paint in the end. Well, you're not gonna see it because you're gonna Plasti Dip everything, but it kind of gives you an imagination of how it will look like and if it looks like the mask. After I drew everything on the mask, I started heating up the Worbla, and I put everything in one chunk. So I had a big ball of Worbla, which is a pretty cool thing of Worbla. You can basically use the remaining parts of Worbla for small details, or for like, you know, future cosplays, or for anything. You can use Worbla for anything, which is pretty perfect. So I heated up the Worbla, I created the nose. The nose takes a while, and you have to be really patient to have the right shape and form. And don't worry about the Worbla being really rough on the surface and not smooth. You can use different materials to smoothen everything out. I didn't do it on my mask because I kind of like it this way, and I did not have all the materials and the time, so I kind of wanted to have it done. But I kind of like this wrinkled effect, even if it doesn't look perfect, but it kind of looks, I don't know, it kind of looks old school. Anyways, what I did there, I took the remaining of the Worbla and I put everything on the outlines. I created the lips, I created the wrinkles on the face, I created the small, you know, swirling details on the mask, and also the outline of the hair. I basically did everything with the remainings of Worbla. And you don't have to worry about seeing that you put the Worbla on it. You can always heat it up, and you can always correct the outlines so it becomes one. So after I added all these like small details, I continued with the teeth. And since I drew the outlines on the teeth, I kind of knew where I had to make the teeth. So I took this tool here that I used for the soft foam clay, and I basically heated up the tooth part of the mask, and then I just pushed on the outlines the Worbla down, which gives you the cool tooth effect. And I never thought it would work. I just freestyled most of my things. I don't know what I was doing, but it kind of worked out. We add more Worbla on the mask, and basically you cut some small spikes out. And what you can do with Worbla, as I said before, you can heat it up at the end, and you can just stick it to the Worbla and it stays there for like ever. And since the mask only had the 4 base spikes, I needed 3 more that were in the back. So I just stuck them behind, and after that I heated all the spikes, or like the hair of the mask, and I bent everything the way it looked on the design of the mask. It's a really bit tricky on this one. You need to support the Worbla that is kind of like, you know, bendable with the finger for a little bit until it dries, because otherwise it's just gonna look squished, and once the Worbla squishes together, it's so hard to take them apart. So just support it with your finger for a bit, have some patience, and just wait until it dries out, and then continue with the next part. What you need to do is you need to prime it, and I love working with Plasti Dip, and I primed everything with Plasti Dip. So I took the can of Plasti Dip, I put it in like hot water, not too hot water, like it should not boil, just to have it a bit liquid, and then I shook it up and I sprayed the entire mask with the Plasti Dip. and waited until it was dry. After we plasti dipped everything, we have the mask in the primer shape and form. You still see some imperfections, but please don't get crazy about these imperfections. Just leave them there, because that is the mark that you do, that is the work that you do. It's your piece of art. Don't think about having everything smooth, flattened out, having everything perfect. It's your mask and it's your piece of art, and you don't have it to have it that similar, because it just puts some personality and character into your mask. And for the painting part, we're gonna start with the colors, and there for the golden part I use gold, but I mixed it with silver, because as you can see, this acrylic gold is pretty yellowish, and if you, oh, that's the wrong one, if you mix it with the silver one, it will get a bit lighter. And as you can see in the OG mask, the gold is not as yellowish and gold as it is, it's a bit silvery. So I added these two together, and you can see for yourself, if you find the right color, you have to mix a couple times. You have to add more silver if you see that it's too yellow, or you have to add more gold. So see for yourself. If you find the right color, take a darker surface or a black surface and just try to paint it on it to see if the color matches the original mask. So for the blue part, I used, of course, blue acrylic, but I mixed it with a darker silver one, because as you can see, the mask is kind of shiny also on the blue side. So it is kind of like a metallic blue color, and with the darker silver acrylic, it will give you a bit of a shiny effect. There's not much to say about, you know, painting the mask. Just keep a picture of the original mask at hand, and always see for yourself where you have to put everything on it. I'm just gonna leave you with a small time lapse of painting the mask until it's done. you kind of notice that the mask is a bit too flat and doesn't have a lot of personality and nothing is coming out, right? There's no characteristic, there's nothing. It's just like a painted mask that looks a bit too bold. So what I did in the next step, it's up to you if you want to do it, but I do it on most of my props, and I did it also on the weapon that I did here on the left side. I basically take a towel. You can also take a kitchen towel. I think a kitchen towel is the perfect option, and black acrylic, and of course water. And what you do is you take a little bit of the black acrylic, you smudge it on the mask, especially on the gold part, like everywhere where you want, and then you take the kitchen towel and you make it a little bit wet. And after that, you basically run through it with the black acrylic. After you did all the refinements and you just like, you know, did some little touch-ups on the masks, it's done and you got your own Trickster Twisted Masquerade mask. I really love the design of the mask. It's so beautiful and the event was amazing. I'm kind of sad that it's done, but you can use this mask for your own cosplay or as a decoration, or you can just create it for a gift and give it to a friend. I hope this tutorial was really helpful for you, and I hope you can recreate the mask. If you recreate the mask, don't forget to tag me in it and also show me your works. And yes, this is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below and like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also follow me on all my socials and also on Twitch. And I hope to provide you with another tutorial because I'm gonna do more of them. But thank you so much for watching. Bye!